Greetings everyone. The title of my research topic is about behaviorism learning theory in education, with the following subtopics: behaviorism learning theory, behaviorism learning theory examples, behaviorism learning theory in the classroom, and behaviorism learning theory, Pavlov, Watson, and B.F. Skinner. First topic will be behaviorism learning theory. What is behaviorism? Behaviorism, a learning theory, states that behaviors are learned from the environment. A theory allows us to explain what we see and enables us to identify a problem and to plan a means to make changes to the situation. A theory doesn't mean a guess. A dictionary defines it as a basis of explanations that ties together a cluster of facts, and they form the basis of scientific reasoning. Let us continue. Behavior, on the other hand, is the way a living creature acts or behaves. According to this theory, inborn or inherited factors have very little influence on behavior. Behaviorists believe that if you change a person's environment, you will change his/her feelings, thoughts, and behavior. One study revealed that almost all teachers use verbal phrases such as "well done," "good job," or "that's awesome" to reinforce students for appropriate behavior. Being kind to others, saying thank you or please. For students, yelling, studying, and talking when they shouldn't. Lateness to class, lack of homework were few examples of behaviorism. Next topic will be behaviorism learning theory in the classroom. Behaviorism is a theory of learning in education based on the idea that all behaviors are acquired through conditioning. Understanding conditioning provides psychologists with tools for understanding behavior and learning in the world outside the laboratory. According to B.F. Skinner, behavior that is followed by pleasant consequences is likely to be repeated, and unpleasant result is less probably to do it again. Behaviorism, when applied to classroom, is called operant conditioning. Reinforcement in operant conditioning involves strengthening an action by associating it with consequences. According to research, there were 4 types of reinforcement that could be applied to get students to behave in the classroom effectively. Positive reinforcement. You have negative reinforcement, punishment, negative and positive, and extinction. Positive reinforcement, meaning, is said to be adding something desirable or pleasant to make an aimed behavior more likely to take place again. Parents and teachers, without realizing that they use positive reinforcement strategies to bring out the best in children. to praise a student when she behaves well or satisfyingly complete a task is the simplest way in which to apply positive reinforcement in the classroom. Another example of positive reinforcement, a teacher might reward certain student, say a class photo album, for good behavior throughout the week. Next is negative reinforcement. It states that something unpleasant is taken away or an item is removed after a specific behavior is shown. Example, once everyone completes their seat work, removing the code of silence in the class is an example of negative reinforcement. Another example, if students behave well in class, get rid with assignment for the weekend. Next is punishment. Can be negative or positive. Negative punishment means taking something enjoyable away, so that the person who does something wrong is discouraged from performing the behavior again. Say, common example is depriving children of their toys once they do something not good. Negative punishment is subtractive in short. For example, in the classroom, say, taking away the student's cell phone because of improper use during the class. On the other hand, positive punishment is additive. Say, for example, assigning extra homework to a difficult to control student. Last is extinction. Extinction means try to eliminate behaviors or by just ignoring them. A conditioned response is weakened and the target behavior eventually stops and becomes instinct. Common example is when a teacher no longer gives attention to a student who talk out during instruction. For example, a student enjoys making a strange noise during a class to get the attention of the teacher. The teacher can try to extinguish that behavior by ignoring her. The student's behavior should eventually go away by removing the attention. The four main psychologists who led to behaviorist theory development were Pavlov, Watson, Skinner, and Thorndike. My next topic is about behaviorism, learning theory, Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov, 1849 to 1936, had identified a fundamental associative learning process called classical conditioning while studying the digestive process in animals. In his experiment, Pavlov was able to teach or condition dogs to salivate after hearing a sound. Pavlov's classical conditioning would be applied in the class by creating a positive classroom environment to help students overcome fear and worries. It is also called Pavlovian classical conditioning. Example, by letting students perform in front of a group with pleasant surroundings will help them stay calm and relax. Next topic will be Behaviorism Learning Theory, Watson. John B. Watson, 1878 to 1959, conducted further research on classical conditioning by performing an experiment with a child and a rat. Watson showed how emotions could become conditioned responses. Watson believed that behavior and its origin could be studied in experimental setting. In his experiments, he used animals under the assumption that what was learned using animal models would be used to apply to humans. This approach is known as behaviorism. In Watson's The Little Albert experiment, an infant named Albert, who had previously liked and attempted to pet a white rat, later was conditioned by him to come to fear the rat. Little Albert was classically conditioned to experience fear at the sight of the rat. John Watson believed that if he was to be given a dozen healthy babies, he could shape them into anything: priest, beggar, engineers, etc., no matter their background. Watson also theorized that we could also impart new behaviors that were not inherited. He affirmed that intelligence and personality were determined by the environment in which the child is raised. Next topic will be Behaviorism, Learning Theory, Skinner. B.F. Skinner, 1904 to 1990, was an American behaviorist as well as psychologist who started research in operant conditioning. His theory was based on two assumptions. The two assumptions were the consequences of a behavior determine the possibility of it being repeated, and behavior was determined by the environment. How is Skinner's reinforcement might be helpful in your classroom? Let us have an example. Say, your students are always noisy at the beginning of a class. You want them to keep quiet and to settle down. Certainly, you don't want to yell or give out punishment. You might think about how you will reward students who behave appropriately instead. If you want to reward quiet students with additional points in their character and attitude, you need to define first what it means to be quiet for them to earn the reward. Not every reinforcement will work on every student. If your technique doesn't work, you can always try something new and repeat the process until you find something that works for the class. Let me summarize the Applications of behaviorism in the classroom. Number 1, many teachers apply reward systems for students to reinforce good behavior. Number 2, students may be more likely to learn from the feedback if a teacher returns students' papers within a week of submission, compared to a teacher who waits several weeks. Number 3, the repetition of quizzes to improve test scores and ultimately get a better grade is evidently behaviorist. That ends up my research topic on behaviorism. Thank you for the time spent and have a wonderful day.